Okay, so now we're going to reassemble the torque coupling. So we start with the inner PTFE seal. And then the inner hub with the PTFE seal on the rear. And ensure that it rotates freely. Then the bearing, roller bearing with the inner and outer race. And then the area where the ball bearings rotate. We then have the outer ring, which is located like this. And then we need to fit the split pins from the rear into the hub. Okay, so we carry on with rebuild using pushing the pusher springs and the pushers. We use some little grease, put this on the spring, and then we insert it into the pusher and then into the hole. Okay, now we put the bearings back into the bearing plate, again with some grease. Use plenty of grease to retain the bearing in the hole. Okay, now we put the plate with the bearings back on. Be careful not to lose any bearings. Like so. Make sure it rotates. Okay, so now we put the dust cover and locate it with the 4 pins. And then the nut, the clamping nut with the springs, make sure there's plenty of grease. And again, make sure you don't lose the springs. And then tighten. So now the nut is tightened using a punch. You set the spring tension to the coupling. Now we need to know which the torque setting of the coupling is, which can be identified on the label, which is on the outside of the dust cover. This gives you the model number, but also it gives you the torque rating which it's set at. Using the jig, we insert it into the hub, and then using a torque multiplier and a torque wrench, we can then set the coupling so that it trips at the correct rating. The final parts to go on is the switch plate for the switch to detect when the coupling is open and closed, and again fixed with the 4 screws. And the retaining ring, so. And then finally the flag that detects from the switch.